Have you ever wondered why your emails don't get responded to? You know, the prospecting emails that you send out, that's what we're going to be talking about right now in this episode of the Sales Hunter podcast. Let's get into it.
You're listening to the Sales Hunter Podcast with Mark Hunter, where the focus is to help you as a sales leader sell with confidence and integrity. And now here's your host.
Hey, thank you for joining me. And today is a solo episode because I want to talk very specifically about email prospecting. And I'm going to walk you through some of the techniques and some of the strategies that too many people get wrong, don't get right when it comes to prospecting. And you'll wonder why prospecting by way of email doesn't have any better results than the telephone. Have you noticed that? Have you seen that? Let me tell you something. Data brings that out as a fact. We talk about how the telephone doesn't work. Well, email doesn't work because guess what? You're not making it about them. Let's cut to the chase right now. Here's the whole thing. Are your emails that you're sending out to prospects, are they more about you than they are of interest to the customer? And it starts with your subject line. Let's be candid. The most important parts of the email that you're sending to a prospect are the subject line and the first, 6 or 7 words of the email. Why? Because, hey, chances are they're looking at it on a smartphone. And what does that mean? They're making a conclusion very quickly in about 3 seconds as to whether or not they should open or delete the email, period. Mic drop right there. What does that mean? The email subject line has to be of interest to them. You must make it about them. What do? I ask them a question. I share a statement. I share something of interest that is relevant to them personally, their business, their company, their industry, whatever it might be. It's not about me. And that includes that first line. You see, the first line is really designed to build on the subject line because you kind of, so to speak, hook them with the subject line. Now you're going to engage them with that first sentence. Don't waste that first sentence by introducing yourself. Hi, I'm so and so. You know what? Don't kid yourself. When you get emails like that, what do? You delete them because they're from a salesperson. That's exactly what I do. You see, here's the whole thing. I'm not going to bother to introduce myself until I get down to sentence number 2 or even sentence number 3. Then I'm going to introduce myself. You're right. This is contrary to what you were taught in school as to how to write a perfect letter. This is contrary to what your mom told you about when you introduce yourself to strangers. But hey, guess what? That ship sailed a long time ago. Subject line, first sentence, must be of interest to them. Here's a couple other pieces that I want to share with you. Add a confirming statement. One of the things that I like to say in terms of a confirming statement is I've had the chance to work with a number of other companies very similar to yours, and we've achieved some pretty significant results. Or I've been talking with others in your industry, and they've shared with me some interesting insights or something of that manner. You see what I'm saying is I'm sharing with them a confirming statement that tells them that I understand them. I'm not some distant person. What I love to say is this: I've been talking to others in our industry, and here's what they've been telling us. Now, what does that mean? That word "our" means I'm part of the industry. I love using inclusive words that allow that person to understand that I'm part of them. Here's the whole thing. Your prospecting email really only has to be about 4 sentences long. That's it. That's it. It doesn't have to be longer than that. In fact, what I'll say is this: your prospecting emails should be of only the length that follows the one swipe rule. What's the one swipe rule? The one swipe rule is pretty simple. The one swipe rule is this. What you do is you take your smartphone, you send yourself the email, and you open it up. And if you can't read it with only one swipe of your thumb, one swipe of your fingers, then it's too long, period. See, here's the whole thing. Don't think for a moment that email that you're going to send out is going to create a massive response. It's not going to, because this is the other thing. Email prospecting has to be part of a campaign. I just spent the afternoon working on an email campaign for a client of mine. And what we're developing is we're developing a series of emails that are going to be going out to people. And oh, by the way, each one is designed to share a new piece of information. In other words, I don't sit there and commit the cardinal sin of, hey, I'm not sure if you saw this, so I wanted to send it to you again, or I wanted to bounce this to the top of your list. No, those things are garbage. Every email you send out must contain a different set of information. This is absolutely key because here's the whole thing. If you send an email out to somebody and then you send them basically the same email a week later, a few days later, and you say, hey, I'm not sure if you saw this, what is that telling them? That is an insult to them because chances are they saw your email and it was a piece of junk. And now you're just confirming to them that the email is a piece of junk. You've got to watch yourself very carefully here. This is why I say your emails have got to be rinse and repeat. You know, the 3 valuable words that are found on every bottle of shampoo. And I talk about this a lot. It's rinse and repeat. Now, it's rinse when you rinse your hair in the shower. You take that shampoo and it goes down the drain. You don't put that same shampoo back in your hair. You put new shampoo in your hair. That's exactly what this method is all about. Now, let's talk about how we make email prospecting really resonate all the way to the top. It's when you don't rely solely on email. This is, again, another big mistake that too many people make. Okay. So you've crafted a great email, you've sent it out, and nobody responds. So then you send it out again and again and again. Now, a different email. But here's where it starts to break down. You're not doing anything to support it. Okay. What do I mean by support it? It's called the telephone. I would much rather be sending out 20 emails and being able to make 20 follow-up phone calls than I would in terms of sending out 500 emails. You allow me to send out 20 concise emails to people who are in my ICP, ideal customer profile, and allow me to follow that up with a phone call and allow me to repeat that mix 6, 7, 8, 9 times. I'm going to have better results than sending out an email to 500 people and never having any other communication. Now, let's talk about this email and let's talk about the phone. How do we match it up? Now, whether or not you phone first and you email second, or email first and phone second, I really don't care. Now, there's plenty of studies that show that you should really phone first, and I really do prefer phoning first. But I get it. Sometimes what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I'm going to send these emails out at 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, I don't want to call people at 7 o'clock in the morning, so that's fine. So I'm going to send them out at 7 o'clock in the morning, but I'm going to back it up with a phone call a few hours later. Now, here's the whole key thing. The phone call is not to sit there and say, oh, by the way, did you read the email I just sent you? Again, that's a major insult. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with them. Now, I can share with them kind of the same information, but I got to word it differently. Don't make it be word for word the same thing. Because again, that's an insult. That's an insult because now what you've done is you've sent them an email and then you've literally read to them by way of a voicemail. Because remember, chances are they're not going to answer the phone. It's going to go to voicemail, right? So boom. And if you read it word for word, they're going to sit there and say, wait a minute, hold it. This guy's an idiot. This guy thinks I'm an idiot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to phrase it a little bit differently. It's going to be the same topic because again, I'm going to stay on message, but it's going to be worded differently. Now, I'll do a separate episode talking about just voicemails. Okay. So ping me on that, remind me and make sure I get that done for you. But we're talking right now about email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit there, I'm going to send the email out and then I'm going to follow up with a phone call. Now, here's the whole thing. One of the advantages about doing the phone call second over the email is this. I can call you. If you do answer the phone, I'm going to talk to you and say, oh, by the way, did you happen to see the email I sent you? And that's a very courteous way to do that. Okay. It's a very courteous way. So I like that approach. If you do the phone call first, are you going to sit there and say, well, hey, I'll send you an email on this? Yes, I can do that. But I really don't like doing that. The reason I don't like doing that is because, well, why'd you bother doing both? Why don't you just send me the email? See, so I actually like to kind of keep them separate. Now, that's a That's going to be your own personal decision as to what you want to do. But let's get back and let's talk about the strategies that I've laid out for you. First of all, the email you send out has got to have a subject line that embraces them. One of the subject lines that I use for this company, I just wrote the emails for, was, "Are customers ghosting you more than ever?" You see, this email is being written to salespeople. See, and ghosting, let's not kid ourselves, that's a pertinent issue. Yeah. And the first sentence starts off by talking about ghosting. See, what does it do? It's designed to introduce and create the challenge. See, introduce, not by introducing who the salesperson is that's sending it out, is designed to introduce the challenge and the problem. Then we put in the confirming statement, and the salesperson gets to put in who they are, with the call to action being very specifically, call me back and we'll arrange, and we'll discuss. Now, I worded a little bit differently for each email because I want it to be different. But see, here's the whole thing. You can have a call to action that says, "Hey, email me back." That's pretty obvious. I like to step up the game by saying, "Call me." Because I know chances are they're probably not going to call me back, but I still want to give them the opportunity to call me back. Now, the question comes up, should I include links in the email? No, I do not like to include links in prospecting emails for one very simple reason. It many times will trigger the spam, the junk, the whatever protection system on the email, and it'll move it to junk, move it to clutter, something else, trash, whatever it might be. And then you never see it. See, so that's a fatal risk. That's why I like not having links. Now, let's not kid ourselves. If they're so intrigued in finding out who you are, they're going to look at your email address and go, "Oh, okay, I see where that person works." And they're going to email that. Okay. And, they're going to use that email address to figure out your website. Okay. So look, don't kid yourself. Don't think that you need to include a link, because to me, that's a barrier for having your email go through. One final question that I'll address right here is, how many times can I email somebody? Well, here's the situation. The more you email somebody and they don't respond, the more likely it can be for that email setup that you're sending into to begin blocking your messages because, hey, person's not responding, so it must be junk. So you got to be mindful of that, got to be careful of that. But I do believe that I've got to get to 7, 8, 9 times of email prospecting, of email telephone before you're going to break through. This is why it's absolutely imperative that we do the phone in conjunction with email. Because otherwise what happens is I'm going to burn myself out just sending you emails that aren't going to go anywhere. Should I send out emails by way of MailChimp or Infusionsoft, et cetera, et cetera? Okay, if you're mass prospecting, then that's what you got to do. I get that. But I'll tell you what did I say earlier? I said I'd rather send an email to 20 specific people. And I'm not going to send that by way of MailChimp, Constant Contact, or something like that. I'm going to send that myself. Sending emails yourself has a much higher percentage of breaking through and being read than having emails sent in terms of mass. Let me share with you I'm sorry, I keep coming up with ideas I got to share with you. And that's why I love the Sales Hunter podcast, because it allows me to have a chance to kind of share with you. Should you make the email personable, I should say? Yes, you should. Let your style of how you speak come through in your email. Now, this does not mean that you sit there and drop F-bombs or stuff like that. No, sorry. I'm never, ever going to do that, whether I'm speaking or whether I'm talking, period. I'm not going to use any kind of offensive language, but I am going to use language that is kind of how I speak. Hey, how you doing? Something like that. Now, I'm not going to say how you doing, but I am going to say, hey, give me a call. Love to chat with you. That's my final sentence that I love to put into prospecting emails. Hey, give me a call. Let's talk. Love to share with you the strategies and ideas to help get your business to the next level. That's it. See? Because I use the word hey quite a bit. But I make sure that I use language that is going to be received appropriately by every party. Hey, I just wanted to share with you a few ideas right here on really how to make email work, how to make it really resonate for you. Hey, if you have not checked out the Sales Hunter University, we've got courses out there that help you walk you through specifically how to write emails, very specifically. I want you to check them out. I want you to check out all the content we have on our website. And most of all, hey, would you please subscribe to the podcast, the Sales Hunter Podcast, and leave us a review, would you? And hey, ping me. What are some topics? What are some topics that you want me to talk on? Because one of the things that I'm going to start doing is I'm going to be doing more and more of these solo episodes. Now, we're still going to have guests. Don't worry. Don't worry. In fact, actually, sneak under the tent peek. Sneak under the tent peek. Wow. I can't even speak right. Let's take a peek under the tent. We're actually going to 2 episodes a week starting very soon. 1 episode a week will be with a guest, and 1 episode will be just me sharing information like this. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. You've been listening to the Sales Hunter Podcast. If you like the podcast, hey, would you please subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with a friend? Because why? My whole goal is this. I want to be able to influence and impact you and others just like you, because that's how we make the sales community an even better place. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. I'll catch you on the next episode.